very fast for those who are scared, very long for those who lament, very short for those who celebrate, but for those who love, time is eternal. So I'm going to go on a very short break, and when I come back, we'll talk about whether love hurts, um, or is it loving the wrong person hurts. So going for a short break, guys. Bear with me. So thank you, guys. I'm back after a short break. I just want to let you know that I have a mystery presenter with me. If you guys bear with me, she will come, he or she will show up later on. So, what is love? Everybody talks about it. Do we know what it is or what it isn't? So I was doing a little research, and I have found some quotations and things, and I thought I would just read out. There's a second one I want to read out. It says, "True love doesn't have to hurt, doesn't make you cry, doesn't lie. True love is a breath of fresh air. It is the warm place to go for comfort. It is life enriching. It is liberating. It is everything you have." So, what does love mean to you guys? If you would like to participate, I would like to really hear from you what your thoughts are on the subject, and why so many of us, so many people seeking love and getting hurt, and then we hear "my heart is broken," and there are so many songs as well about broken heart. And then on the other hand, we have also so many other songs that says love is the cure for all kind of disease, all kind of unhappiness. If you have love, if you have love, you have fulfillment, you have everything. I have a mentor, and I asked my mentor what it meant to him, and he said to me, love is the oxygen of life, oxygen for life. So love, um, what is it? If you guys want to give me a call, I'm able to take phone calls, and I'll give you my number shortly. And I would like to hear your views, your thoughts, because what do you think is true for you? So why don't we explore together what it really means? There are so many people. The other day I was listening to a story of a very sad, I felt very sad for the person. They were in love, they fell in love, and the person she fell in love with was someone, as some of the mentors and coach would say, person unavailable. So that person already had a family. They were in love for so many years, about 20 plus years. They they enjoyed their secret marital life. Only recently, they learned that they cannot continue anymore, and it is really heartbreaking because now, in their 50s or 60s, I don't know how old they are, it is not working anymore. So, guys, without any further ado, I'm going to invite my mystery presenter, and that is Hafsa Noor. Hafsa Noor, please join me.
Hello there.
Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be on your show.
Oh, you're so sweet. So, what does it mean, Hafsa? What does love mean? Everybody talking, everybody singing about it, everybody crying.
What does love mean? Love is something illusion, I believe, but something you feel. and something you embrace on, but at the same time, that could give you a lot of heartbreaking. But I was listening to you while you were saying that somebody you know, they've been in a relationship for 20 years, and
20
then
plus.
20 plus years, and
Mhm.
then now they want to break up because it's not going to happen.
One
Many of
party decided.
one party decided. So
Mm,
many of us, there are people that I know, they are in the same boat, uh, simply because their marital life is not happy. So they find love with some other person. And I don't know whether to say whether these are extramarital affairs or something that they have going or growing in between them. But they care for each other. They feel that they're
mm,
committed to each other, same way as husband and wives are. But at the same time, they trust each other. They have that kind of faith on each other that they are committed, as I said. But at the same
mm,
time, they have that sparks for that person that, oh, yes, that person is everything to me in my life. But at the same time, sometimes it doesn't work out for many
mm,
reasons. The commitment, the if the person is married, that married person thinking that he or she's got other commitment in their life, like their children, their wife, their spouse, husband, whatever. They have their own commitments, and because of the commitments, they I won't say they're loyal, but to fulfill their commitment,
mm.
that is the reason why they behave the way they behave. But to me, I think that you know that you're going to getting involved with this other person in your life, and you know that you have commitments, then why should you get involved? Why should
Mm,
you get yourself in that kind of committed situation? Maybe the guy is married, he's got family. The woman, she doesn't have family. She could be, for her, this is the guy she's involved
yeah.
with, or it could be the other way around. I don't know. Many things happen in this world now. So
Mhm.
the woman can be committed as well, or the guy can be committed. But either way, you know that you have another life to lead. Then why do you commit yourself to somebody that
Who
is
is
not
not
good?
available? Who is not
Exactly.
available?
But
If
falling in love is easy, I would say, because a lot of things in our life, I think we miss out on, and we
mm,
see the other person is giving us that kind of affection, showing the caring, and because of that reason, we fall for the wrong person.
so, do you think for love to flourish, for it to grow and continue, we need to think not just with our hearts but also with our mind, because heart and mind will have to work together. For example, the person who secretly married, they did have everything that you would expect in a relationship,
Mhm.
save for the fact that one person was already committed elsewhere. So he wasn't um, in a technical term, you'd say this person is not available
Mhm.
because he's committed elsewhere. And then initially, maybe they had an understanding that somewhere along the line, when the children are grown up, then he was going to leave and um, leave the current family and move in with the second wife.
Second wife, yeah.
The second wife. So I think where things went wrong, if the shoe was on the other foot, like the second wife was declared and society knew and accepted that she was the wife and there was a legal marriage, for example, well, then
Mhm.
you have other complications like legal complications. And also, if they had children together, then she would have been in a stronger position.
Absolutely.
Because I think at the end, the way the relationship ended, it had nothing to do with love. It was more about how much am I going to lose by changing the status quo, and
Yeah.
how much am I going to gain by staying where I am now. So
Of
it
course,
did work
I
out.
mean, if somebody truly loves somebody, then they want to give them the, how do you say this? God, recognition. that
Yeah.
I love that person and I want to be with that person, and that's what matters to me the most. They, despite having their family, there are many people when they fall in love. I know a family,
Mm.
husband and wife. The husband got married in Bangladesh, but his wife couldn't speak English properly. She had to build herself in this country, but she's very active woman. But at the
Mhm.
same time, her husband used to work somewhere, and he met this woman, this girl, I would say, and then they fell in love, and he married her. And he even told his first wife that I'm not going to divorce you. You'll be still remain as my wife. It's up if you
Mhm.
want, and I want to marry her because I'm in love with her and she's my choice because you weren't my choice because my parents forced me to get married to you. So you aren't my choice, but this is the person I'm in love with and I want to marry her. So
Mhm.
he married her. He lives with his wife and first wife as well. First wife tried to live with him, but gradually he moved on to the other wife. Now he comes in now and then because they've got
Mhm.
children between them. So he does the maintenance and everything. It's not a problem. So he fulfills the father role. It's not a problem. But only the thing is, the having relationship with the first wife, it, it kind of faded away. But with his second wife, he's still with his second wife, and they're happily married and they've got children.
Yeah. I think I think probably where people go wrong when they keep things secret,
Mhm.
because the scenario you described where they were open and honest about the situation, and like you said, if you love someone, you don't demean them in any way,
Mhm.
because if you don't declare, you keep this person as a secret, as a mystery person in your life, that is
Mhm.
not very good for that person. It's not a good position to be in. And why would you want to be why would you want to give up your rights? If you are a human being, you are a human being like anybody else, and you
Mhm.
have the same rights as anybody else. You have the same values. Like, as a human being, you should be valued the same way, not based
Okay.
on because you came later or you came earlier. If somebody's marriage is not working, I think best thing is to do, maybe give it a try,
Mhm.
do your best. If you've given your 100%, then it doesn't work. You have learned something from it.
Of
But if
course.
you run away at the earliest opportunity, you haven't learned anything, you haven't changed yourself. And the problem you have in the current marriage, you might actually continue in the next one. With regards to like people having um, guys, if you want to join me, please call, participate, be part of our family, like our page. I'm going to quickly give you the contact number: 07852473473. I would like to really hear from you guys. Come on, give a call, and you don't have to talk about your experience. Sorry, I just saw the phone number. I couldn't remember. I thought I'd take the opportunity, and I was talking, and I had to cut my talk short. So please do give a call and join us. So as I was saying, Hafsaba, I think this is where people, at the beginning, people fall in love, madly in love, etc. Then it
Mhm.
starts to become a pain. So if somebody is having a difficult relationship, give your best shot. If it doesn't work out, take a decision. You cannot always calculate how much I'm losing, how much I'm gaining, because you never know. A lot of the time, if your relationship is right, then you could achieve probably more than what you have ever achieved in your life before. So sometimes we calculate too much. We're too clever. We don't want to take a risk. We want to be where we are, and we also want to have other things on the side, which is kind of unfair. What do
But
you think,
don't
Papa?
but don't you think that I mean falling in love, if you truly love somebody,
Mm,
there should be no how shall I say this? There should be no boundaries.
mm.
In that sense, that you don't think like, oh, what are you gaining with it?
Calculation, yeah.
Calculation, yeah. there shouldn't be any calculation.
No.
You love somebody, you love them from your heart, bottom of your heart, and you don't
Mm,
think with your brain. You just fall in love with that person, and whether you're with them or not, it doesn't matter. You could be loving somebody doesn't mean you have to be with him or her. Uh,
mm,
Somebody you love so much, you just care about that person, and whole love situation starts from caring for somebody.
mm,
Once you care for somebody so much, then automatically you fall in love for that person, and then you want to take care of that person. You think best, the good side of that person. You think of the what benefit um, that person the most from
mm.
you, what they can gain rather than what you can gain.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about if you love somebody truly, if you feel for somebody, then yes, definitely, that's how it
But I
would be.
think to some respect, if you that's my view. I think we also need the brain and the heart to go together. So if your brain says one thing and your heart says something else, then you have conflicts. So
True,
you are conflicted because you are pulled in two different directions.
true.
And for like you said, love is a thing. It doesn't happen with everyone.
Mm.
And the culture I come from, and you probably yourself, that is such a shame. People don't understand it. They think
Mm.
love is a bad thing, and they kind of take it, give it a negative view. They think
Mm.
that has something to do with physical relationship,
So
which is
true.
not love. Which is not love
I
is all
think
about.
you know that you're involved with a girl involved with a boy. They think it's physical relationship rather than liking somebody. You can like somebody for many years, and still you can go out with that person, but you don't have to have that kind of physical relationship with that
Exactly.
person. It could be
So
best
that
friends, sharing and caring for each other, supporting each other in many different ways. Love can be, love. I mean,
platonic.
exactly. So it doesn't have to have any result. You shouldn't look for result if you love somebody. What you're
Mm.
gaining and what you're not gaining, and calculating yourself. I don't think it should be like that. It should be just supporting each other. If the other person knows that you really like that person,
Mm.
then he or she would definitely will uh, try to be with you or try to make some
I think
time.
this is a normal thing, isn't it? If you do love someone, you want to be with them. Yeah, and you also want that relationship to continue. It wanted to grow. It wanted to flourish.
Yeah.
And I was, as I was saying earlier, I remember an event when I was in school in Bangladesh. One of the girls, elder daughter got married to someone. She kind of eloped, ran away with the boy because the families didn't agree to the
Mm.
marriage. And then people started to whistle. They would even the rickshawalas would whistle when they went to the girl's area where the girl's house was or where she moved into, which was really sad. And I couldn't understand why people were thinking that this is something that is so horrendous. Like they could whistle, they could show disrespect, which has nothing to do with with
Th-
what
th-
they did.
That was the culture back then, but now things has changed.
I haven't been I haven't been there for a very long time, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad to know.
Things have changed. Nowadays, more people falling in love, and they want to be with that guy, or the guy want to be with that girl. So they do get married, and they do. But nowadays, I don't think they run away so much. They somehow manage their parents, but still, they may be still going on some places, depending on
Mm,
the family, how willing they are to accept for
yeah,
that for boy to be their son-in-law or daughter-in-law. But nowadays, people don't do that much. I assume.
oh,
I mean,
I'm so glad to hear that,
I haven't
because
heard.
even in this country you have, so even in this country in certain communities you have this honor
Yeah,
based violence. So if the
exactly.
boys we probably heard of Shafili Ahmed. There was a great documentary on television as well about her life.
Mm.
She was um she was being forced to marry someone back home which her family approved, which she didn't like. So she didn't want to marry that person, and then she was asking for help because they threatened to kill her. Her family members. Yeah. So we still have, unfortunately, we still have this happening in this country because this is so-called honor-based thing.
I mean,
I think
it mainly happens mostly within the Pakistani community. They do a lot of honor killing.
some Indian, some
And
Indian as well, and also rare cases of Bangladeshis as well. I heard not so much in terms of honor, but it's a different kind of crime which does take place. So the other thing I wanted to say, people do fall for the wrong person, and I think one of somebody said, "Love doesn't hurt, but loving the wrong person does."
definitely. But
So
when you see somebody, how do you know that person is wrong for me? You don't, because that time we become blind. We think, oh, this is the person for me, and then later on you get to know that this person was totally wrong person to be with. So how do you recognize that person?
So I think that is why we also have to use our brain, because
But
there are certain
brain,
things.
brain is dead. If you like somebody, you miss that person so much, and you think, oh, this is the person for me.
So
You
I
know,
guess the tip would be just sit with yourself, be honest, and say, since I entered this relationship, how many times have I cried? How many times I'm able to see myself in the mirror and I smile? If I'm crying more than I've ever done before, it's likely that I'm in a wrong relationship, because if something is hurting, it cannot be good.
Hmm. But that we
And
realize afterward.
so
Not
when
at
it
the
starts to hurt, when it
yes,
starts to hurt,
yes, that's when we realize. Before that, we do not realize.
what we do often, we overlook and we pass it on and say, oh no, that's my misunderstanding, or I'm overreacting, or other people probably are saying.
How would you, in first instant, how would you see, and what you need to see in that person in order to know that this is not the right person before I
So
get
this
involved?
person might have,
How can you protect yourself before you get too involved with that person?
I think, we have certain values. We carry our value system, and
Mm.
our behavior very much based on the values, the beliefs we hold within ourselves.
Mhm.
So, if somebody has certain values that you don't agree with, you think, you see them. Sometimes, you see somebody when they fight, like when they have conflict with somebody else. I think when you see how they're fighting with the other person, if they fight unfairly, there will come a time they will do the same to you. So sometimes we get sucked into it just because we love this person, we get blinded. Oh yeah, I'm going to support you even if you are wrong. We shouldn't actually. We should hold back and say, is it the right thing to do? That's one thing. The other thing is, how the person treats you publicly. And publicly is the big thing. A lot of people are behind the closed door, all nicey or lovey-dovey, maybe. And if they treat you really bad publicly, it means that they're demeaning you one way or another. Or if they're nice in public place and behind the closed door, horrible, then you have a problem. The other thing I don't know if you are aware of it. So I worked with victims of abuse for a number of years, and one thing that is happening recently, and the reason why I'm mentioning it, so that people can, I hope they register what they're hearing. A lot of people take pictures and things in compromising positions. They do it during their marriage, and whilst it is right that, okay, you are with your husband, you are doing whatever you are doing, then you make videos, you take pictures and things. Your husband today or your wife today could become your ex tomorrow, and
Yeah.
when they do, things really go horribly wrong. And lot of girls are being blackmailed, being horribly abused, because now they have this video or those pictures that their loved ones now sharing with, or threatening to share with everyone, or send it to their families and etc.
Oh,
So they're
goodness.
being taken as hostages. So I want people to actually, if you guys are watching, the reason why I'm doing this whole show is because I want people to understand and take good care of themselves and be happy. And you can't be happy when you've done something like that and somebody's blackmailing you. So loving the wrong person, like as Hafsapa has said, how do you know this person is right person? This person is going to be virtuous, loving person forever. Even if you fight, even if there are some people whose marriages break down and they're still in good terms with their exes. They respect each other.
But some marriages, when they break so badly that husband or
Yes.
the wife, either one of them, so
Nasty.
bitter, bring bitterness to within that relationship. It's just outrageous.
It is.
Um, they want especially the women, they want the property from the husband. Many of the women, because they've got children, so showing the children, they want the property. The husband becomes homeless. They become the victim of the whole process. But people show more sympathy towards the women, but sometimes these women can be very vicious just to get the property from the husband. They want everything from the husband, so they do that. But in other case, there are
Mm,
husbands who can be manipulating the woman, blackmailing the woman with emotional blackmail, like they will take the child away because the woman is not in work, and that she
yeah.
never worked in her life before, and she is so naive and she trusted her husband. She never done anything for herself, and then what happens? She gets bullied by the husband emotionally. So either she stays with the husband, or if she leaves, then she lives with a lot of scars.
Yeah. So like you said, there are some husbands, they probably even wouldn't register the marriage,
Yeah.
and the wife and husband both are earning, both are contributing. Husband is being the dominant person, taking care of the finances and stuff. Then your marriage is no longer working. You have a religious marriage, for example, which is not legally valid at all. It's not recognized by the law. Your contribution you've made, unless you have solid proof, you
Mm.
cannot get anything. You have to go to industrial tribunal or something to recover. It's not the family law process that's going to help you recover anything from the husband. So they both people are doing that to each other. Women are also manipulating the system. Women are also saying, I'll take 70%. There are some people who truly believe that. Even if they've made no contribution whatsoever, they can take 70% of the family's asset, which is
Yeah.
ridiculous. There's certain thing, the law says starting point is half, but then how much have you contributed, etc., which which comes later. So
No,
when it becomes a battlefield,
women can show that I couldn't go to work because I had to contribute in the family, looking after children, raising them,
yeah,
cooking.
so there is a certain amount, but it doesn't mean 70%. People have to be mad. And then you also have, on the other hand, there are a lot of people flouting the law, not paying child maintenance and things. But I think, on the whole, I think um, we all have to, especially when people decide to have children. So you love someone, you fall in love with someone. The things become more interesting when people fall out of it,
Yeah,
and by then it might be too late to actually salvage anything or save yourself and have a safer place for your children and yourself. So love, love when it hurts. Maybe what is your take on that? How to actually safeguard against the heartbeat?
uh, I don't know. To be quite honest, it's very hard to say. But one thing I have to say is that back in my mind is playing that some people, they get married, like you said earlier on, that they get religious married. But one thing I don't understand, that I was told nowadays you have to register your English marriage first, register in the
It's a government guideline.
right, government
Yeah,
guideline, and
yeah,
then you can then show with that registry certificate. You go to the mosque or the imam for you in order to for you to get married in Islamically. But some people they don't do that. How does that works out? I don't understand it.
So, what happens? I think people who are very clever. There's some people they cleverly do it. I've seen it done, and what they do, they play um, they play a psychological game against the mosque, against the imams and stuff. So they would go there with the person and say, "Well, we have come to get married." Now, the imams probably are thinking, if I turn them away, are they going to commit sin? I turn them away without a valid civil registration, they probably are going to commit sin. And should we send them away without a religious marriage, or should we get them religiously married? In that case, at least they're not committing any sin. So they kind of get emotionally blackmailed into it. And then the person, usually some people are very calculative. When things like that happen, they probably have already given um, the registry office the notice of marriage, which has to be served 40 days before the marriage actually can take place. So they would
Mm.
probably take a receipt from there saying, look, I have already given notice, and we are going to, once we get married, we are going to have the civil registration afterwards, because our families are not in agreement, and that is why we're going to do
But
the religious marriage
the
first.
person is already married, so how can they book an appointment with the civil marriage registration office?
So remember, religious marriage is not valid. So the law doesn't recognize, for example, an Islamic marriage is not a valid marriage in the eyes of the law.
That I understand, but in order to book yourself in initial stage, that person is already married in this country, and they book themselves with another to get married to some
No,
other
no,
person.
no. Second marriage is not for second marriages, but first marriage. So they
Yeah,
can
second marriage. People, first marriage
second
is
marriage. It would be bigamy. There is an act. There's a criminal offense called bigamy. So a lot of
but
people, what they
they're
do,
not really getting married second time around. I know quite a few people. They're married,
yeah,
and the second wife. As a second wife, they've got somebody as a second wife, and they're happily married.
yeah. So if they're still married to the first wife, it's unlikely for them to have a legal marriage. So what would then happen? If anything happens to the husband, then whatever whatever he has, his inheritance will be divided by the established law, unless he has a will.
Mm.
So that's another thing. And also second marriages, I don't understand. I know someone who who had a wife, and
Mm.
then he decided, after having like a number of children, he decided to have a second wife. So he divided up his time between two families. One was in London, one was in Luton. We got a comment from Heaven Angel saying, "Hi, how are you? We are very well, Heaven Angel. Why don't you give us a call? We want to hear from you guys. Give us a call on 07-852-473-473, and let's have a discussion together. This is an interactive show, guys. If you don't contribute, if you don't participate, don't make any comments, we don't know what you were thinking.
Definitely.
So
I think we should take a small break and then we
yeah,
should come
let's
back.
go
So
for a break and we'll come back.
everybody else will be waking up.
Yeah.
Radio.
Hi, viewers. We are back again, and thank you for staying with us. We've got a comment from Bulbul Ahmed, and he's saying, "How are you, Hafsapa?" So,
Alhamdulillah, I'm good. I've got Siddhika Appa here, so you should ask about Siddhika. This is Siddhika's show.
yeah, Bulbul Bhai, I'm a little bit offended. So why don't you give us a call, and let's hear from you? Okay. So Hafsapa, yeah. We are trying to share some information, so hopefully people will not fall in love with the wrong person and not get hurt, because falling in love with the wrong person, somebody said, hurts.
One thing, sometimes some of us we do not learn our lesson in terms of people. They fall in love, well, so-called love. I don't know whether they really fall in love, but they fall in love with somebody, then they have a breakup. Within a couple of months, they fall in love again, and then they have another breakup. Before they know it, they're in love again. So, what would you say about this?
I don't know. I think
It's quite
it's a very
interesting. Somebody, one of my niece's friend, she fall in love with somebody. She stays with that person, then they break up. Stays with that person for a couple of maybe year and a half, or half a year, and then they break up. She somehow the relationship doesn't work out. Then later on, she falls in love again within a month or so. It's quite interesting.
I think maybe it could be described as love addiction. Some people have addiction to pain. Is it love addiction? Is it pain addiction? Because people look for meanings in many different ways, and sometimes people who have been in so much pain, and pain is the only thing they can connect to. So even when they look for love, they're looking for a similar person they just left, or somebody worse than the person they just separated from. And that happens because all the things, the way they were thinking, the way they were acting, they haven't changed at all. They're the same person. They say, if you want to have a better relationship, you change yourself first. If that relationship is a wrong relationship, you change that relationship too. But first change yourself. Otherwise, you will continue to do the same thing over and over and again, because same actions equal same results.
I
And
agree with you. Yeah. Uh,
so
people
she's
intend to find somebody similar to the other person, and then it's just going back. It's like boomerang effect. They
it
just
is,
go to the same person and come back, and then go to another person. That person is almost similar, or if not
or
similar,
even worse,
or even
or
worse.
even worse. Yeah,
I remember
there's a saying in the
I remember someone was sharing this story with me. This woman, she was married to this guy. This guy was really used to abuse her badly, physically abuse her. And then this other person supported her to come out from this marriage. Then she came out from the marriage, and because he was so sympathetical towards her, then she sort of fell for him. And then within a couple of less than a year, they got married. Anyway, then later on, the other guy was 10 times worse than the first one. How much
mm,
he used to abuse her, beat her up and abuse her. It was, it almost she died. And then she had to come out from this marriage as well. So it could go even worse.
yeah. So there's a saying, from the frying pan directly into the fire. So a lot of the times, this what happens when you have rescuers coming in to rescue you from your abusive relationship. They
Mm,
usually are people who probably are worse than the one you are actually escaping from.
exactly.
And some people are so good at camouflaging. They're like chameleons. You know how they change their color. So even quite interesting. If you watch the, if you observe people who are very clever, chameleon kind of people, you might have one story, one event, yeah. Around this event, they will have 5 to 6 different stories to suit the audiences they have. So one story is for the police, one story is for the family members, one story for people who are educated, one story for people who are uneducated, because they understand the psychology so well and they play so well. So they create different stories around the same scenario, and every single version of those stories are just lies, because they want to show themselves in a better light. We have more comments. So we have English comment from Heaven Angels. Your event is so beautiful. Move forward successfully. Thank you so much for the gift of such beautiful event. Thank you so much, Heaven Angel. Please.
Thank you so much, Heaven Angel, for making this a valid comment. And I hope you will stay with us. And you can call us on 07852 and you can speak to any of us, or you can share your thoughts and stories that you may have, which
If
could be
you
very valid for us, because many of us would like to hear from you. And Siddhika was frozen for a bit. Now she's back, and sometimes she freezes like ice cream, so she's back again.
thank you so much, Hafsafa. It's just that my internet is not so good. The connection in this area is not great. So apologies again. If there is any man, I wonder, Hafsapa, if there is any man listening to our show, would they want to say anything about love? How do men fall in love? You mentioned it's a connection of heart, and I kind of brought in the mind to it because we want cooperation of both organs, mind and the heart. So how do men fall in love? What do they think about love? What is it? What does it mean?
Love is dilika laddu. And they always say, so it's like a dilika laddu. Whether you eat it, you will regret it. Well, if you don't eat it, you will regret it. So maybe it's something like that they will come up with. But yeah, would like to hear their opinion, their point of view.
Yeah, it does matter. Look, we don't live in islands. So men don't live in Mars and women are from Venus. We share this planet here. And we want to hear from men what are their perspectives, and why do they think what is a wrong relationship for a man? What would be
I can share you a story. When I was in sixth form in school, um, in I used to go to a girls' school, but when I was in sixth form in school, it was mixed. So there was this boy, Bengali boy. He came in, and he was in love with the girl who used to study in our school,
Mhm,
same age as me, and his parents didn't want her. Her parents didn't want him, but they both waited for a while before, and they had to get their parents to say okay, they can marry each other, and they were married. But Asin, the passion for that girl, my
mhm,
friend, um, passion for her, the way he used to feel about her, the way he used to talk about her. It was
mhm,
so nice to see that a
mhm,
man, well, he was a boy then, so he there were whatever he used to say things so respectfully about her,
oh, yes.
and that kind of really made me think that a boy can really fall in love with a girl, and then, you know, and he could do anything to make it
Mhm,
work. And it goes for the women as well, and for the girl,
yes.
she really liked him as well, and they eventually they got married, and I think they've got kids, I don't know, but since then I haven't spoken to them. But they were going through some rough time. She wasn't allowed to go out, she wasn't allowed to do anything outside, she
Is
had to
it
stop.
him who put the restriction on? Who put the
uh,
restrictions on?
Her parents put the
Oh, her
restriction.
okay.
So she couldn't go out. She
Mhm,
had to miss school. As soon as they found out she wasn't attending the school, all that. Later on, what they did, what somehow they managed to get both of their parents to agree, and then yeah, they
Mhm.
did get married. After a long time, I saw bumped into him in Tesco once, and I was
Mhm.
asking how's things. He goes, "Oh, we are married and happily married," and I thought, "Oh, that's really nice to hear." They both been married together, but when we were in school, I didn't know what's going on. Later on, I
Oh,
found out that. So that was a really nice story.
that sounds like a success story. It's a Valentine's story. A lot
Mhm.
of love love marriages also fail, and a lot of people who fall in love also fall out of it.
Of course.
And
But there are people apart that there are some people they fall in love, they
hmm,
get married, and then few years down the road they don't love each other anymore, and they love some other person.
hmm,
And first marriage, they got married at the very young. They wanted, they thought, oh, this is the guy for me, or this is the girl,
hmm, hmm,
and they marry. Then later
hmm,
on, it doesn't work out, and they could fall in love more than once. So how does
hmm,
that happen? I mean, if you love somebody truly, don't you think you want to be with that person rest of your life, and you want to be with that?
hmm,
Um, Arranged marriage is different. This is something
hmm,
being arranged for you. You have no
hmm,
choice. But falling in love with somebody and the person you're in love with, you want to marry that person and you get married to the person. And then for some reason it doesn't work out. And later on
so you do fall out. You do fall out, and then
they
because
fall in love with some other person later on.
because human beings, we have the need. It's a psychological need to be loved and to love. So that there is a need for it, and I think it's not a bad thing to fall in love again. But like you said, that young girl who keeps falling in love every few months, this is not love. This is a kind of addiction. This is a problem, and she probably has
I
some
mean,
issues.
she's a young girl. I understand it could happen, but
But that
maybe
probably is not
she
actually
hasn't,
love.
she's met the right person in her life, and
Yes.
whoever
Yeah.
she sees, she thinks, oh, that's the person for me, and she falls in love with the person. Uh, that's what I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm
Mhm.
wrong. I never studied all this, so I have no idea. But I'm just sharing that my thoughts. But there are people they
Mhm.
fall in love, they got married, they're in a good relationship. The husband takes really good care of the wife, and the wife
That's the
gets
same.
everything.
Mm.
But at the same time, she thinks, oh my God, whoever she sees, she falls in love with that person. But she doesn't want to get married to that person. She just wants to be with, I don't know whether they want to waste their time or spend their time. I don't know, but there are people. I know someone who fell in love, got married, had the child, and then the husband really looks after her so well. He would do anything for her. But now any man she talks to, she falls in love with him, and
Oh dear.
spends time. She just wants to spend time. So how does that work out? I mean, that psychology
I mean,
thing.
that'd be quite interesting.
I
Maybe.
have questioned that woman once that I thought you fell in love, you got married, you've got
Mm,
child.
mm.
You know the person you fell in love with again. Are you going to get married to that person? She goes, no. So I said, then what the hell are you doing?
So how does the relationship work then with the husband, with all these other loves coming and going?
I don't have a clue, but it's quite interesting. I find it quite interesting that when I asked her, "Are you going to get married to that person?" She goes, "You're kidding me." So I said, "If I'm kidding you, then what are you doing with that person?" She goes, "I've got my family. I've got my husband, my son." I said, "If you've got your son, if you've got your husband, then
Yeah.
what are you doing with him?"
You know what? That could be some other issues which is now disguised as love. So we probably don't know enough. And I think what happens. There's a comment from Heaven Angel again. You two look very nice, and the and words are very good. Best of luck, dear. Thank you so much, Heaven Angel.
So much. I think we are.
We're
Oh,
nearing. Yeah,
we should be
we're
ending
nearing.
soon.
We're
There's
nearing the end
another
of
place to attend. Midnight tonight, we'll be celebrating Falgun.
Yes,
So
guys. So come back for more love and more successful stories and some broken heart
no,
at
no, no,
midnight.
we won't be talking about that. We'll be
We
having
we
fun.
are we are gonna mend any broken heart at midnight.
Yeah,
We're
we
not
will be
breaking
having
things.
fun. The last comment from Heaven Angel, if you want to read that.
Yeah, the feeling of joy, love, and respect that is found in the first marriage in life, and then you get married, you feel ashamed of yourself. Not necessarily have an angel. I don't agree. A lot of people think you have. This is not like lottery. You tried once and it didn't work, and that's it. You could be forced into a marriage. Your first marriage could be a forced marriage. It could be a marriage that you didn't want to be in, or it could be you chose the wrong person. Can you find love again? And why do you have to be ashamed? Why does a person have to be ashamed of a second marriage or subsequent marriages? The religion doesn't prevent it. There's some
Absolutely.
stigma attached to women. When it comes to men, they can marry as many times as they want, and that is to some respect is the fault of our society, the way they look at women. And even though Islam is a religion that promotes marriage, it doesn't discriminate women for having second marriages and stuff. We still do as a society, and that is a shame. I'm not talking about and I'm sure other religion does the same. No religion actually is discriminatory as far as I know. But what we do, because we lived in societies that were dominated by men. If you look at the English legal system, legally, a husband by law could beat his wife with a stick that was no bigger than his thumb. That was the law. Women were not allowed to hold any land to their names. They were not allowed to inherit anything from their families. So that is why marriage was so important. So I think we moved away from this that kind of rules, but we still have some values that are quite restrictive of women and quite and shows women in a bad light. But one should never feel ashamed for having subsequent marriages, first marriage, second marriage, whatever marriage it is. If a marriage is respectful, if a marriage is serving its purpose, it is a good marriage. It doesn't have to be the first or the last or whatever you want to call it.
It's true. I totally agree with you, Sidka Bam, that whether it is your first marriage or second marriage, but wherever you feel happy and content, that's what it matters the most.
Yes, and if somebody is trying to make the person feel ashamed, you are free to live as you are free to create your own society. Feel free. Don't let people chip away your dignity little by little. I'm not mentioning anybody in particular, but anybody who is listening into it. Don't let people take your dignity away little by little. And if you are a minority, this is what they always do. And I'm not ashamed to say it in the public. I will say it publicly as many times as it is needed. As many times as I see, I'll say it. So, guys, thank you, Hafsapa, so much for joining in because I needed your company and I needed your contribution. So thank you once again. And we got some more messages. Kamal Hussein, how are you all? We are very well. Thank you so much. And Bulbul Ahmed, very nice program. Thank you, Bulbul Ahmed. And then Kamal Hussein again. Um,
How about
how?
Bulbul Bro? I
Oh,
mean,
okay. How
that's
about how about him? What about him? Was Bulbul bro? Was he supposed
well,
to call us?
he's asking Bulbul Bro something. Anyway,
Uh,
so we should go because we need to get
Guys,
us
you missed your
ready for the
chances.
next
Yes,
show at
yes.
12 midnight tonight in UK time. So there will be too many of us joining the midnight Dhamaka, Falgun Dhamaka, I would say. There will
Falgun
be
Thamaka.
Amin Raja there, and then Siddhika herself, me being there as well, then Zinia, Tanzila Labonno, and of course, Rubel Sajid will be joining the whole show for 2 hours, 2 whole hours. We'll be having fun.
Guys, join us. We'll be singing Fagun Agun Lage.
Do you want to do one line?
Have with some water. Okay, thank you so much. And inshallah, see you all here around the same time tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to discuss financial health. So please bring some pen and paper. You might jot down a few notes that might help you. And thank you once again. Thank you, Hafsa, so much. And see you guys soon. Bye for now.
Good night.
Bye-bye.